MRI scans reveal the secret of a brain that doesn't age. Why do some lucky individuals continue to have amazing brain power into their 90s? Do you ever forget a word in mid-conversation? Or struggle to recall someone's name? Or walk into a room and then forget why you're there? For most people, growing older means experiencing more of these frustrating, senior moments. But have you noticed how some people don't experience these problems? People are more active and vital than a lot of people half their age. And it's not just rich and famous folks who retain their mental prowess. You probably have a friend or relative in their 70s, 80s, or 90s whose mind is as sharp now as it was decades ago. Why is that? Do these people stay mentally young through a perfect diet and regular exercise? Did they win the genetic lottery? Is it plain old luck? Well, as you're about to see, a team of scientists at Northwestern University have discovered the #1 reason some people stay sharp as a tack no matter their age. It's an amazing discovery. But what's most amazing is how almost anyone can use this discovery to improve short and long-term memory, thinking speed, and focus, in as little as 30 days. And in the next few moments, you will discover how. Solving the mystery. Scientists at Northwestern University wanted to solve the mystery of why some people stay mentally sharp as they age. To do that, they recruited a group of super-agers for a groundbreaking study. Scientists describe a super-ager as a person over 80 who has the memory and brain power of someone decades younger. For this study, scientists had the super-agers take a battery of challenging memory tests. Most older adults struggle with these tests, but the super-agers had no trouble. They breezed through them. Even though these super-agers were in their 80s and 90s, it's as if their brains had forgotten to age. But why? And how can you use their secret to improve your own memory and brain function? To answer that question, the scientists took MRI scans of these super-agers' brains. And the scans revealed something amazing. What the MRI scans revealed. After scanning each super-ager's brain, the scientists compared their scans to the scans of older adults with memory problems. At first glance, the scans of the two groups looked very similar. Both had comparable brain weights. Both had neurofibrillary tangles. In fact, the MRI scans revealed only one key difference between the brains of super-agers and normal older adults. The super-agers had healthy microglia. Microglia are tiny cells in your brain. They develop from the same group of stem cells that eventually become white blood cells. In a way, microglia are the white blood cells of your brain, protecting and repairing it. But they're much more than that, too. A growing body of research shows healthy microglia are the secret to having a brain that doesn't age. For example, microglia create new synapses so you can think faster and better on your feet. Microglia help grow new cells in the hippocampus, the memory center, of your brain. Microglia bathe sick neurons in protective chemicals, which helps you stay sharp and alert as you age. And microglia foster the growth of myelin, a brain tissue that's essential for learning and memory. Simply put, microglia are one of the most important scientific discoveries of the 21st century. These tiny cells play an enormous role in your brain's health and function. And if you want to stay mentally sharp as you age, then you must have properly functioning microglia. We know this because MRI scans show that super-agers and younger adults have almost identical microglia, whereas the average older person has dysfunctional microglia. And dysfunctional microglia cause all sorts of problems for your brain and memory. Instead of making protective chemicals that keep your brain and memories sharp, dysfunctional microglia spew inflammatory chemicals. Instead of creating new synapses so you can think quickly on your feet, dysfunctional microglia shred your synapses to pieces. In fact, studies show that dysfunctional microglia are the main cause behind almost every symptom of brain aging. Everything from relatively minor, but embarrassing, senior moments, to full-blown cognitive decline. You may be wondering what causes dysfunctional microglia. Well, remember that microglia help protect your brain from threats like environmental toxins, pollution, food additives, and even stress. Because you can't escape or avoid these threats, your microglia must work around the clock. Over time, they grow tired and weary, and can become dysfunctional as a result. If you have trouble concentrating, struggle to recall words, names, or appointments, and don't feel as sharp as you used to, chances are you have dysfunctional microglia. But here's good news. An easy way to restore microglia. Scientists set out to find a way to restore dysfunctional microglia. They scoured the scientific literature and studied hundreds of nutrients shown to support brain health. After painstaking analysis, scientists identified a handful of nutrients that specifically target microglia. They then tested these nutrients against each other and found one that worked better than all the rest at restoring healthy microglial function. What is that nutrient? It's a potent antioxidant called lutein. Studies show lutein can restore dysfunctional microglia and make your brain perform like it did decades ago. Today, lutein is being studied at places like Harvard, UCLA, and MIT. It's the one brain health nutrient that seems to have everyone excited. In one study, scientists fed a group of aged mice with dysfunctional microglia either a lutein-rich diet or a control diet. After 4 weeks, the mice were put in a water maze. They had to swim through this maze to find a hidden exit. The mice being fed the control diet became confused and struggled to finish the maze. But the mice on the lutein-rich diet easily found the exit. Not only that, they also grew new neurons in their brains. Their sex drive and performance got stronger. And their dysfunctional microglia started functioning properly again. According to the scientists who conducted this study, lutein restored the memory and brain function in 2-year-old mice to that found in 4-month-old mice. That would be like giving an 80-year-old person the brain of someone in their 40s. What's amazing about lutein is that it's one of the few nutrients that can cross the blood-brain barrier. So it actually gets into your brain. That's how it can restore dysfunctional microglia and make your brain think and feel decades younger. And lutein also protects your brain from the ravages of inflammation. Dysfunctional microglia cause brain inflammation. This inflammation can make your thoughts and memory blurry. It can rattle your ability to focus and perform tasks. And it can make your mind go blank when you're trying to remember a word or name. Fortunately, studies show lutein cools inflammation and helps you enjoy better brain function. In one study, scientists exposed microglia to a toxin. The microglia reacted by triggering inflammation that scorched surrounding brain cells, killing them instantly. After conducting this first experiment, scientists repeated it, but with a twist. This time, before adding the toxin, they treated the microglia with lutein. Result: the microglia treated with lutein didn't trigger as much inflammation, and the surrounding brain cells survived. In another study, scientists fed a group of rats an inflammatory toxin. They fed another group of rats a combination of this inflammatory toxin and lutein. After 17 days, the scientists made both groups of rats complete a water maze. And the scientists were astonished by what happened next. The rats fed lutein completed the maze nearly 3 times faster than the rats that did not receive lutein. What's more, the rats fed lutein had far less inflammation in their hippocampus, the part of the brain used for memory and learning. When I saw everything lutein can do, I knew I had to get it to my patients and readers. So I worked with my friends at Advanced Bionutritionals to create a comprehensive memory formula that contains lutein. It's called Advanced Memory Formula. Advanced Memory Formula gives you the right amount of lutein to restore dysfunctional microglia, protect your brain from inflammation, and sharpen your memory and focus. In 60 days, it made me less forgetful. I am 94 years young and I have been using Advanced Memory Formula for 60 days. It has made me less forgetful and less nervous. It has also made my moods more stable. And it has made my thinking sharper. Thanks for a wonderful product. Alan L. Jones, Royersford, PA. But lutein is just one of the ways Advanced Memory Formula supports your brain. Now let me tell you about another nutrient you get in this formula that can dramatically improve how your brain functions. The brain-boosting secret of chess grandmasters. If you're like most people, you associate the game of chess with intelligence. And no wonder. Even a casual game of chess requires focus, memory, and problem-solving skills. But playing chess at the grandmaster level is far more difficult and demands immense brain power. To show you what I mean, consider chess grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. In a recent interview on the TV show 60 Minutes, Carlson said he's memorized a staggering 10,000 chess games. Think of your favorite sports team. Imagine the kind of memory you'd need to be able to recall every play and outcome of 10,000 games. Just as amazing, Grandmaster Garry Kasparov, one of the few chess players to ever defeat Magnus Carlsen, in fact, can see dozens of moves ahead while he's playing. In effect, Kasparov has memorized so many moves, and all the ways an opponent could react to those moves, he can see the future at a chessboard. How do they do it? Well, both Kasparov and Carlsen credit much of their awesome brain power to physical exercise. That's right, exercise. Garry Kasparov starts his day with a long bike ride, followed by laps in the pool, before settling down to work at the chessboard. And Magnus Carlsen takes his exercise so seriously, he hired Olympic trainers to help create his workout regimen. We've known for a long time that physical exercise is good for brain power and memory. And now we know why. It's because exercise increases your brain's production of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. BDNF is the master molecule that builds and maintains the infrastructure in your brain. This infrastructure is a complex network of cells, called neurons, that your brain uses to communicate with itself and the rest of your body. The richer and more expansive this infrastructure is, the more active your brain cells are. And the more active your brain cells, the sharper your memory and the faster you learn new things. For the longest time, scientists believed that adult brains couldn't grow new brain cells. But thanks to pioneers like Nobel Prize-winning neuroscientist Dr. Eric Kandel, we now know the adult brain is flexible, not fixed. You can grow new brain cells in your 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. And BDNF is like fertilizer that grows new brain cells that can enhance your memory, learning, thinking, and more. Here's how we know. Grow new brain cells at any age. In a recent study, scientists sprinkled BDNF on neurons in a petri dish. They were stunned by what happened next. Immediately, these neurons came alive and started sprouting new branches. What's most exciting is that these neurons weren't sprouting new branches willy-nilly. Instead, they began producing the same brain infrastructure required for learning. But could this laboratory study apply to people in the real world? To answer that question, a team of scientists ran a fascinating study. First, the scientists drew blood from a group of volunteers to measure their BDNF levels. They then had these volunteers watch a slideshow that showed the faces and names of strangers. A little while later, the scientists quizzed each volunteer on the new names they'd just learned. The results were clear. The volunteers who remembered the most names, by far, were those who had the highest BDNF levels. In another study, scientists found that people with high BDNF levels learn new words 20% faster. And another study found that higher BDNF levels can reduce your risk of cognitive decline by 1/3. If you want to regain your mental edge and boost your ability to learn new things, BDNF can help you do that. And BDNF can also boost your memory, especially your working memory. BDNF helps you stay mentally switched on for life. You use working memory when you need to remember a phone number, a shopping list, or the name of someone you recently met. You also use it for making quick decisions and for complex tasks like driving. If you've ever forgotten where you left your car keys or why you walked into a room, you've felt the effects of a fading working memory. As you age, memory problems like these become common. But you can make them a thing of the past by boosting your BDNF levels. This was shown in a recent study in Sweden. For this study, a group of scientists first measured BDNF levels of 367 older men and women. Then, they asked these participants to complete something called a trail-making test. In this test, you draw a line between 24 consecutive circles that are randomly arranged on a page. The tricky part is, these circles alternate between numbers and letters. So you're required to switch between letters and numbers as you race to finish the test as quickly as possible. Because the trail-making test forces you to keep track of a lot of new information, it's a great way to measure working memory. Government officials also use this test to help decide if an older adult should be allowed to keep their driver's license. In the Swedish study, participants with the highest BDNF levels whizzed through the trail-making test in an average of 110 seconds. Meanwhile, it took nearly twice that long for participants with lower BDNF levels to finish. And there's more. The scientists also took MRI scans of each participant's brain to see if BDNF affects brain volume. It does. Participants with higher BDNF levels had greater brain volume and less shrinkage than participants with lower BDNF levels. I'm not surprised. Remember, BDNF is like fertilizer that helps you grow new brain cells. So it makes sense that more BDNF means a bigger, healthier brain. And if you want a steel trap memory and lightning quick recall that's always there when you need it, you want your brain to produce more BDNF. The more the better. Unfortunately, your brain produces less BDNF as you age. And that can create all sorts of problems. As your BDNF levels drop, your brain doesn't make as many new cells. Fewer new cells means brain shrinkage, fading memory, trouble concentrating, and all the lifestyle problems that come with it. But that doesn't have to be you. You can flood your brain with 143% more BDNF in as little as 60 minutes. Here's how. Boost your BDNF levels by an astounding 143% in 1 hour flat. We know vigorous exercise boosts BDNF levels. But many people aren't able to exercise as often as they know they should. So a team of scientists wanted to see if it's possible to boost BDNF levels without exercise. To find out, this group of scientists conducted a study on coffee fruit. Why coffee fruit? Well, coffee fruit is where we get coffee beans, and we know coffee boosts mental performance. For this study, the scientists first did a blood test on a group of volunteers to measure their BDNF levels. Then, they gave half of the volunteers a caffeine-free extract from coffee fruit, and half a placebo. An hour later, the scientists did a second blood test on all the volunteers. When the scientists reviewed the results of the second blood test, they could hardly believe their eyes. People who took the coffee fruit extract increased their BDNF levels by 143% in just 1 hour. The scientists conducting this study had never seen anything like this before. Finally, there was a way for anyone to quickly and easily boost their BDNF levels. They named this breakthrough discovery neurofactor. Neurofactor is made from the fruit of the coffee plant Coffea arabica. But it's completely caffeine-free, so it won't make you feel wired and jumpy. What it will do is quickly flood your brain with more BDNF. And you'll feel mentally sharper and more focused as a result. Neurofactor is the first and only natural compound that's been shown in studies to dramatically increase BDNF levels. And a single serving of advanced memory formula gives you 100 milligrams of neurofactor, the same therapeutic dosage used in studies. On top of that, neurofactor is such a potent antioxidant that just 1 gram gives you the same free radical fighting powers as 625 grams of fresh blueberries, 974 grams of strawberries, 1,230 grams of raspberries, or 2,030 grams of grapes. That's based on measurements done by the USDA's Center for Aging at Tufts University. And it underlines why neurofactor is such a powerful way to protect your brain from aging. I've regained my confidence. I'm a 72-year-old singer-songwriter still playing live shows. I was starting to forget lyrics, chord progressions, etc. on stage, so I ordered advanced memory formula and have been taking it for 2 to 3 weeks. I do notice a difference in my memory power and my thinking power. Thanks to advanced memory formula, my confidence is back. John G. Ventura, CA. If advanced memory formula only included neurofactor and the lutein I told you about earlier, I'm confident it would deliver amazing results for you. But we're just getting started. I set out to formulate what, I believe, is the most comprehensive brain health formula available today. One that addresses all the root causes of your memory problems at once. So in addition to neurofactor and lutein, advanced memory formula includes a third nutrient that can help make embarrassing, senior moments, a thing of the past. To show you how it works, let me introduce you to a 103-year-old scientist whose mind is as sharp today as it was decades ago. Your youthful brain. At 103 years old, Dr. Brenda